first. Okay, and then just I will give you a look of lecture 1, whatever we have completed. Okay, wastewater engineering, we have discussed all the syllabus, then PU, then fundamental terminologies we have discussed. Okay, in short, in the last lecture, we have discussed what are the different sources of wastewater and what is the background of the wastewater collection system that we have discussed. Then accordingly, we have discussed the quantity of sewage water as well as stormwater. Stormwater, what are the different factors affecting on the stormwater quantity? Everything depends upon the type of area, catchment area. Okay. Then how to quantify it, how to go for the estimation of quantity, estimation of stormwater quantity by using two methods. One is the rational method and another is the empirical method. Okay. Then in both the above methods, the quantity of stormwater is considered as function of the intensity of rainfall, coefficient of runoff, and area of catchment. Okay. So accordingly, coefficient of runoff derived by the thumb rules are presented before you in this table. Then a rational method, how we can calculate the quantity of stormwater by using rational method we have discussed. Later on, we have discussed empirical formula. There are three different formulas. With this, we can determine the quantity of stormwater. Okay, so both quantity we should know, means the total quantity we should know, which are reaching to the wastewater treatment plant. What are the total quantities? Includes first one, sewage generated from the municipal area or this particular residential area, then stormwater quantity, then infiltration and inflow. So I hope you are understood the four all. And if industry is there, then industrial wastewater. Okay, industrial wastewater, you can understand. Sewage wastewater, I hope you understood now. From each and every domestic activity, whatever the wastewater is being collected, it will be a sewage. Then stormwater, during precipitation, whatever runoff water is there, that will be collected as a stormwater. Then the infiltration and inflow. Okay, entering the water through the cracks and pores is the infiltration, and inflow, entering the water through the openings. What type of openings? In a sewerage system, there are different types of openings, catchments, catch basins, inlets, and through that, whatever the water is entering into that, it is called as the inflow. Okay, all these quantity we have to club together and make them that will be the final quantity at the treatment work. Okay, so as per the quantity we can decide the capacity of treatment plant. So this part we have covered in till the last lecture. Now I am going to present before the next part we are going to learn today. That is, I will open the lecture 2. Okay, so in this lecture you can see here, I will start this slideshow. Now the next part we are going to discuss is the characteristics and their significance. Characteristics of wastewater. At the time of characteristics of water also we have studied. Some of them are similar to wastewater. Okay, again, while we are studying the characteristic or the components, constituents present into wastewater, it will be divided into physical characteristics, chemical characteristics, and biological characteristics. Under physical, color, odor, temperature, turbidity also be there. It is not written, but you can assume that also. Then chemical characteristics, these are pH, chloride content, sulfide content, sulfate contents, nitrogen content, fat, grease, oil, dissolved oxygen, biochemical oxygen demand, chemical oxygen demand, and Bacteriological characteristics similar to the water, that is aquatic plants, aquatic animals, aquatic molds, etc. So each and every characteristics we are going to discuss, or very important characteristics only we will discuss over here while discussing in detail. So before I go to the next slide and open each and every individual characteristics in detail, I request everybody to copy this slide in your notebook. And further, whatever important part with respect to each parameter I will tell, you can note on that. Okay. So at this first stage, you are requested to copy this now. Please copy it. I will give you 2 minutes to copy this slide. Finished, guys? Once you finished, drop your message, please, so we can proceed. I think I received a messages. Done, finished. Okay, okay, good. So these are the physical, chemical, and biological characteristics of wastewater. Okay, so I will proceed to the next then. So now we will discuss first the physical characteristics. What includes physical characteristics? Color, odor, temperature, and turbidity. Means I think during the discussion of GATE classes, we have discussed this part in detail. Still, as a syllabus part, we will try to cover it today also. So physical properties means these are the properties because of the presence of these impurities, it will change the physical appearance of water or wastewater. So that's why these characteristics are known as the physical characteristics. Okay. Now, so the first one is the dissolved color. Why color causes to the water or wastewater? Because of dissolved organic matter from decaying vegetation or some inorganic materials may impart color to the water. Okay. So first parameter we are going to discuss is the color. Dissolved organic matter from decaying vegetation or some inorganic materials causes the color to the water. And it can be measured by comparing the color of standard water sample. Okay, standard water sample with standard glass tube containing solutions of the different standard color intensities. During the GATE lecture, GATE preparation period, we have discussed it in detail. So that's why I will invest less time for this discussion today. The standard unit of color is, as you know, it is a platinum cobalt scale. It is a cobalt scale. It can be measured on the cobalt scale unit. The SI unit, SI value for treated water is 5 to 25 cobalt units. So the most common major color measurement of water and wastewater is platinum cobalt color, also known as alpha color or Hazen color. Okay, note down please this point. Color can be measured in platinum cobalt color, and it is also known as the alpha color, APHA color or Hazen color. And the measuring instrument name is tintometer. So note down this. So for MCQ type of questions, you should know. So usually wastewater is having 3 different types of colors, which we have already discussed in the last lecture. What are these 3 different colors? First one is the gray color. When wastewater is fresh, it will show gray color or it will be brownish color. And as time passes and it converts into a septic in nature, it will move from brown color to gray color to darker gray color to black color. And black color indicates it's a highly septic in nature. Okay, so this additional part in respect of wastewater you should remember. And yellow color indicates if that water is coming from the urinal units. Okay, so that's why it will be yellow in color. So according to the color, we can judge the quality of wastewater. Okay, now the next part we are slideshow should be from current. Okay, color is important from the standpoint of aesthetics. So with color, aesthetic look will change. And if water looks very odd in color, that black in color, people will avoid to use that water. People will not go near to that water. So it indicates the aesthetical view, often caused by organic substances such as algae or humic compounds. Humic compounds in the sense waste generating from the WCs. Okay. And apparent color caused by the suspended matters. And the true color caused by dissolved or colloidal, such as vegetable or organic extracts. So mostly in the wastewater, what happens actually, there are much amount of organic impurities and it's a decomposition going on. And as time passes, it's a converts it septic in nature. Okay, because the wastewater age is going to be increases. As wastewater age increases, its a septicness increases. As septicness increases, it will move from brown color to dark black color. Okay, so that funda you remember in respect of color for the wastewater. Now the next parameter is the taste and odor. Usually for the wastewater, there is a odd smell because of there is a decomposition of organic impurities. As I told you, most of the time in a wastewater, high amount of organic impurities are present in the wastewater. And these organic impurities decomposition is being performed into the wastewater itself. And while decomposition, it will release the various gases like the methane, H2S, carbon dioxide. Okay, and hence these smelling of foul, the wastewater smelling foul. So the taste or the measuring instrument for this is the osmoscope. So you remember only this single line in respect of taste and odor, that osmoscope is an equipment used to measure the odor and taste of the water. Taste is the perception actually. In respect of wastewater, it is not being considered a taste, only odor is being considered. Then the temperature. It plays very important role in the wastewater treatment plant than the treatment plant. So in the water treatment plant, we have discussed the importance of temperature. If the temperature increases, the dissolved oxygen level decreases. If the temperature increases, dissolved oxygen level decreases. Only that impact is being observed in the water supply. But here in a wastewater, there are many different impacts you can observe. Meanwhile, I can say temperature is an important parameter in a wastewater treatment process. So the effect of temperature or change in temperature is very critical on living organisms. Okay. Aquatic population can withstand only tolerable limits of temperature, which varies for species to species. Some key constituents of water or pollutants changes forms based on the temperature. The rate of most of biochemical reactions. This one is very important. So remember the rate of most of biochemical reactions are depend upon the temperature as a factor. Okay, so decomposition rate. If decomposition rate is more, then BOD reduction rate will be more. If BOD reduction rate is more, dissolved oxygen level in increasing the dissolved oxygen level rate will be more. So that way it is going to be affect on the various factors in the wastewater. So the temperature plays important role in a wastewater, and temperature simply can be measured with the help of thermometer. Okay. Now the next parameter is the turbidity. So I'm talking, while talking, whatever the important part I'm telling, I will not ask you to write entire slide, but I will request you to keep on copying the important points, whatever I'm repeating again and again in respect of that particular point. Now turbidity. So an optical characteristic or the property, which in general terms describes the clarity or haziness of the water. It will describe the clarity of water. It is caused by the presence of various fine suspended particles in the water. So usually this test is also being performed in respect of water before the treatment, whereas after treatment, it will be conducted for the wastewater, because turbidity should not be very high before the disposal of wastewater after treatment. After treatment also, we are going to dispose either on the land or for the nearby water body. But at that time, it should not be very high. Okay. So turbidity from low to high, it is demonstrated here. So you can understand what is the exact meaning of turbidity. Okay. Presence of particulate matters, particles, suspended particles in a water, which will scatter the light, and hence there will be less transparency in that particular water, is known as the turbidity. Okay, with this figure, I hope you are clear. The existence of turbidity in water will affect in acceptability to consumers in case of recycled water, and it will also affect mechanicity, its a utility in certain industry. Markedly, its utility in certain industries. If you are treating the water and then you are supplying, if you are treating the wastewater, and if sufficient turbidity, you became successful to remove the sufficient turbidity, and you became successful to change the aesthetic look of the treated wastewater, then you can use that as a raw water for the industry or for various purposes like the gardening purpose or for cleaning purpose somewhere. That way you can reuse it. But you should become successful to reduce the turbidity of wastewater. The particles forming a turbidity may also interfere with treatability of water, especially in the case of disinfection process, as there is a risk that pathogenic organisms could be shielded by the turbidity particles and hence escape the action of disinfectant. So here in the turbidity, what is this treatability factor? Actually, that you will understand better in the chapter number 2 while understanding the decomposition rate and decaying rate of wastewater. Okay. So turbidity, how it can be measured, turbidity by using the different kinds of equipment, that is turbidity meter, nephelometer. Then you can measure simply by putting the rod into the wastewater. I have shown to you the demonstration in the last time while discussing water supply engineering as well as GATE lectures. So same parameter is there, and that's why I'm not investing much time. Okay. So that way you can use the measure the turbidity. And what are the different units for the turbidity? Who will tell me? If you are, You can recall whatever we taught in the last lecture.
NTU.
Yes, NTU. Anything else?
JTU.
JTU, correct, Sanket? Yes, please. Anything else?
Turbidity rod.
But what is the unit? Unit I'm asking. Turbidity rod is the instrument by using that
ppm.
you are measuring. Yes.
ppm.
Yes, ppm, correct. Correct. NTU, JTU, BTU, ppm. These are the various units which can.
EMJ per meter.
Yes, correct. So all these are the units we can use to measure the turbidity of water as well as wastewater. So these were the physical characteristics of the wastewater. Now we will talk about the chemical characteristics. So most of the characteristics are similar like the water, but the desirable limits will be definitely different as compared to the water. Okay, for the wastewater, desirable limits will be definitely different. So what are these chemical parameters or the characteristics? First one is the pH. Then chloride content, sulfide content, or the sulfates. Then nitrogen content, fat, grease and oil, DO, BOD and COD. Very important parameters. They play very major role in a wastewater treatment and self-purification process of wastewater. What is the self-purification process? That also we have discussed. Okay. That actually we are going to study that part in detail into the chapter number 4. But at the time of discussion of chapter, I have given an idea how this is going to be studied. Okay, now what is the pH? So I'm not talking much about the background part because here is the repetition of these same parameters over here. Now, pH value denotes the acidic or alkaline condition of water. It is expressed as a scale, expressed on a scale ranging from 0 to 14, which is the common logarithm of the reciprocal of the hydrogen. This is the definition. Common log to the log of the reciprocal of the hydrogen ion concentration, or you can say simply it's a negative log to the base of H plus ions. Okay, negative log to the base of H plus ions, that is hydrogen ion concentration. And the recommended pH range is 6.5 to 8.5 for drinking purpose. But if it is below this 7, it is considered as the acidic. Above 7, it is considered as the alkaline, and 7 is the neutral. And usually wastewater generating from the municipal area is having acidic in nature, because most of the food preparation activities involved in that. And if the food preparation activities are there, there will be acidic in nature. Okay, so to give the proper treatment, the proper dose of coagulants, proper dose of disinfections, we need to bring it to the level of 6.5 to 8.5, where various chemical reactions will work effectively for the removal of impurities from the water. So that range, though it is for drinking purpose, it should be in the range of 6.5 to 8.5. Many other purposes also, it is required to be maintained into the 6.5 to 8.5. And what is the instrument name which can be used? pH meter. That also I explained in that how to use the pH meter. Okay, so if possible in a virtual lab, I will check if the pH experiment is there. In today's virtual lab session, we will take the pH as a experiment. So that will be better to understand how to perform that experiment. pH of fresh water typically ranges between 6.5 to 8. It could vary from around 4.5 to 10 in certain cases. Okay, here with this picture, you can see. Excuse me. Below 7 it is acidic and above 7 it is alkaline. Better to have in alkaline nature because many reactions perform well in the alkaline nature. Okay. pH of wastewater vary according to the source of its generation. If it is generating from the kitchen waste, definitely it is highly acidic. You should remember, it is highly acidic. Then extremes of pH may adversely affect the aquatic ecology in surface water bodies. The range of pH suitable for fisheries is considered to be 5 to 9, though 6.5 to 8.5 is preferable. It will be okay, it will be fine if any of the water body is having the range of pH 5 to 9. In that range also aquatic plants and aquatic animals will survive. But it will be better if it is in the range of 6.5 to 8.5. Even photosynthetic reaction rate is also depends upon the range of pH. So that way many factors are chlorination process, effectiveness of the chlorination, effectiveness of coagulation process. All these are dependent upon the pH range. So usually we try to maintain pH in the range of 6.5 to 8.5. Not you may be thinking if it is required for drinking purpose, at that time only we should focus. It is not like this. All other chemical reactions depends upon the pH factor. So that's why in wastewater also we need to maintain in the range of 6.5 to 8.5 to perform the proper reactions in a desired time. Understood? Okay, now the next parameter we will discuss, that is the chlorides. Where from chloride is coming into the wastewater? From the fecal quantity. Fecal quantity in the sense solid waste from the human being. Because human being consumes about 6 to 8 gram of sodium chloride per day. And part of which is discharged through urine and night soil. And because of that, chloride presence into the water or wastewater indicates the presence of fecal quantity in a wastewater. Are you getting? It's a simple judgment. Simply you can take a judgment whether fecal quantity present into the wastewater or not by performing the chloride test. Now someone may ask, why to go for chloride? Why not to go to directly fecal count test? Because fecal count test, it takes a lot of time. Even in a 24 hours or 48 hours will take to identify the presence of fecal quantity. But that judgment you can take with the chlorides. Chloride test simply you can perform in a 5 to 6 minutes. So that's why chloride is considered one of the indicator for the presence of organic matter fecal quantity present into wastewater or not. Okay, it is a indicator. Remember that. So the excessive presence of chloride in water indicates sewage pollution. It indicates the sewage pollution is there. Municipality sewage coming from the domestic area. And its IS value for drinking water is 250 to 1000 milligram per liter. So beyond that presence means high amount of fecal quantities present into wastewater. Understood? So this is one of the, so as I told you, some of the important parameters we are going to discuss over here, from the physical characteristic, basic chemical characteristics and biological characteristics. Now sulfates. It occurs in water due to leaching from sulfate mineral and oxidation of sulfides. Sulfates are associated generally with calcium, magnesium, and sodium ions. It associates not in a single form, separate form. It usually associates along with calcium, magnesium, and sodium. Okay. Along with these three chemicals, you will be able to observe the sulfate content in a water. It causes odor and corrosion problems under aerobic condition. If we are providing any aerobic treatment to the wastewater, at that time, you may face issue of odor because of the presence of sulfates in that wastewater. And it should be less than 50 milligram per liter for industries, and desirable limit for drinking water is 150 milligram per liter and may be extended up to 400 milligram per liter. Because of the presence of sulfate, another major issue what happens in industries, corrosion. So it should not be more than 50 milligram per liter for the industries, specific industries where iron, the water, wastewater is coming into contact with the iron metal or any kind of metals. So their corrosions will perform and it will give the odors, bad smell, bad odor. That is another impact of the sulfate. Okay, but for the drinking purpose, it will be fine. Manje you can imagine here. You may be thinking or not, I don't know. Pratiksha, have you focused on this line? Sulfate should be less than 50 milligram per liter for some industries, and desirable limit for drinking water is 150 milligram per liter, and it may be extended up to 400 milligram per liter. So whatever the parameters until now we have studied, in that what we have discussed, usually the less quantity is allowed for the drinking water, whereas high quantity is present for the wastewater. But here in this respect, sulfates, I am finding the line sulfate should be less than 50 milligram per liter for industries, and desirable limit for drinking water is 150 milligram per liter, and it may be extended up to 400 milligram per liter. How you can justify this statement, Pratiksha? Anybody else, please? Specific industry, it is not allowed because a corrosion will be the major issue caused because of the presence of the sulfates. Now, very important and interesting parameter we are going to discuss. What is that? Is the BOD. So you should remember the long form of BOD is the biochemical oxygen demand. Otherwise, you may tell biological oxygen demand. It is a biochemical oxygen demand, and that's why I have taken this parameter under the characteristics of chemical characteristics, not in a biological characteristics. Okay, so very interesting and very important point is the biochemical oxygen demand, or that parameter for the wastewater. For drinking water, that test should be nil. We should not go to conduct that test, BOD. But for wastewater, that test is very important. What is this biochemical oxygen demand? It represents the amount of oxygen consumed by bacteria and the other microorganisms while they decompose organic matter under aerobic condition at a specified temperature. Okay, very simple. Amount of oxygen consumed by the microorganism during the decomposition process of organic material in presence of oxygen. In presence of oxygen means at a aerobic condition. Okay, at a specified temperature. So this is the biochemical oxygen demand. So please note down the definition of biochemical oxygen demand. This is a focused one point from this chapter. So you please focus. For GATE also, minimum 2 questions will be there from this point, biochemical oxygen demand. So please focus on this. So please copy this slide. Done. Okay, we'll move to the next. How it is important we are going to study in detail first, and then some problems also we will solve. So in today's lecture I will not take because it requires some that what we call slate. Okay, so in tomorrow's lecture we will solve problem on the biochemical oxygen demand. So the fundamental part we will finish today, and tomorrow we will solve the problems. If we have tomorrow lecture, I don't know, let me check. Tomorrow is lecture or not? Tomorrow is Wednesday, no? No, today is the Wednesday. Tomorrow we may not have, but day after tomorrow again 2 lectures are there. Okay. Biochemical oxygen demand. Organic matter present in water serves as substrate for the microorganism present there. So every single line here is very important. I'm going to explain that line also, but intentionally I have placed over here all this material. Then only you can focus. Often many of the compounds are broken to less complex organic substances and ultimately to simple compounds such as carbon dioxide and water. So first of all, decomposition of organic matter performs in a wastewater with the help of microorganism in presence of oxygen. And that's why microorganism consumes the oxygen. And that's why in the last semester, I had given to you an example of 2 bottles. If I take 2 bottles, if I take same amount of, same quantity of sample on the same day in 2 bottles, and today I have performed the dissolved oxygen level of this bottle 1. And this bottle I will keep aside and I will check the dissolved oxygen level of this bottle at the 5th day. At that time, I can find what change I will observe. We have discussed in the last semester. May I repeat this? May I repeat?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, there are 2 bottles I have taken now. Okay. Now, BOD measurement means what? I will tell you, BOD measurement means what first. So you are supposed to calculate the dissolved oxygen level. One sec, please. Excuse me. Okay, so how to calculate BOD, that I will tell you first. So BOD calculation means what? First of all, you can take a sample and perform the dissolved oxygen test. So how to perform dissolved oxygen test? That we are going to see in a virtual lab. Okay, dissolved oxygen test in the sense to measure the dissolved oxygen level by titration method. So for that purpose, first of all, you can take a measured volume of sample from this particular bottle in a conical flask, and you can add starch indicator into that and shake well. When you shake well, that sorry. So measured volume of sample you can take, okay, in a BOD bottle. what is meant by BOD bottle? Actually, reagent bottle तुम्ही chemistryच्या lab मध्ये बघितलेले असतील. That is known as the BOD bottle. So full bottle can be filled with a sample which you want to taste. Now I have filled 2 bottles. So out of that, these 2 bottles I have closed with a tap immediately after filling. Then I can add 2 ml of MnSO4. Okay, MnSO4 and then 2 ml of alkali azide solution. So because of addition of these 2 chemicals, it will observe that brown color precipitate is formed into this bottle where you have added that chemicals. Then shake well and allow to keep it keep it for the sedimentation process. So if you will keep it for 10 minutes sedimentation, that all precipitate will start settling down, and the supernatant you will observe very clean, and at the bottom you can observe a PPT has been formed, precipitate has been formed. Okay, then after 10 minutes you can add the both bottles. You have performed both this experiment in both the bottles up to this. Okay, now after settling, you can keep this bottle number 2 into BOD incubator. Why to use BOD incubator? What is the use of BOD incubator? To maintain the same temperature throughout the days. Throughout the days means what? BOD can be performed in a 2 way, either for 3rd day or for the 5th day. If you have performed a BOD for 3rd day, you can say it is a BOD 3. And if you have performed a BOD at the 5th day, you can say it is a BOD 5. Okay, so I have kept a bottle number 2 into BOD incubator for 5 days. If it is for the 5 day, what temperature we used to keep? BOD 5 at 20 degrees Celsius. Okay, and BOD 3, if it is the BOD 3, it might be 25 degrees Celsius. Okay, so for 5 days, 20 degrees Celsius, I kept it into the BOD incubator. So this is for the 5th day. Now the first bottle, we will continue from that spot itself. So precipitate is formed and settled down. Now I'm going to add the 2 ml of concentrated sulfuric acid or H2SO4. And because of the addition of sulfuric acid, the precipitate will get dissolved after shaking it well. So this process is known as the dissolved oxygen level fixation into that particular bottle. Okay, or otherwise, if you are opening the tap, atmospheric oxygen will enter into this and it will raise the level of dissolved oxygen. So while performing test, before performing test, you need to fix the amount of dissolved oxygen into that particular water. So further, no more oxygen will be allowed to mix after that stage. Okay, now because of addition of this H2SO4, concentrated H2SO4, that oxygen is fixed and the precipitate is dissolved and water becomes a brown color. Okay, now from that sample you can take 10 ml or 50 ml sample in a conical flask to perform the titration method. Okay, now you are going to perform the titration method. So that 50 ml sample in a conical flask you have taken. Okay, now add the 2 to 3 drops of the starch indicator. Because of starch indicator addition, it will turn towards the blue color. Okay, and now you can titrate it against the sodium thiosulfate, 0.02 normal sodium thiosulfate. So while performing test against this sodium thiosulfate, at certain stage, it will disappear that blue color. Means that much consumption, volume of sodium thiosulfate consumed. Now you know that procedure, how to keep it into the table and then how to perform that, how to go for the calculation by using the formula, and then you can calculate the answer. So that is the method to find out the dissolved oxygen. Now I am telling to you, I am giving an assignment to you. These are the two bottles I have taken. Okay. BOD calculation means what? The dissolved oxygen on the first day and dissolved oxygen on the fifth day or third day. Okay. Now I am asking you one question. This is the one bottle and this is the another bottle. I have taken same sample at the same time and measured the dissolved oxygen level of this bottle, and that will be the, suppose this is a 10 ppm. This is a 10 ppm dissolved oxygen, and I kept it in the incubator, and on fifth day same experiment I am going to perform and measuring the dissolved oxygen of this bottle. So whether the dissolved oxygen of bottle number 2 will be more than 10 or less than 10? This is my question to you all guys. Answer please. I'm ready to listen you guys. Yes, someone answered in the chat box. Yeah. Less than 10. Vaibhavi saying, Snehal is saying less than 10. Anybody else from boys? Yeah, Rutuja is also saying less than 10. If any other opinion anybody else is having, they can. Out of these many students, only 3 students are having opinion. Other don't have any kind of opinion. Harshvardhan Pawar, what is your opinion? Oops. No opinion. Yeah, Harshvardhan Pawar is also saying less than 10. Okay, fine. You are on correct line. I think we have explained that earlier also, and now you are understood why it is less than 10. Who will tell me? Unmute yourself and tell me why it is less than 10. Whatever you know, you can tell me. Why it is less than 10? Sorry. So, excuse me. Someone can prepare answer. Okay, what is the answer actually? Because the decomposition process performs in presence of oxygen. And at that time, oxygen is being consumed by the microorganism. And hence there is a reduction of oxygen level in a water is being observed. And hence BOD means what? Amount of oxygen consumed on the first day minus amount of oxygen consumed on the fifth day. That is the BOD. Okay, remember that formula. Amount of oxygen consumed on the first day minus amount of oxygen consumed on the fifth day. Okay, or third day. I will come back to this point now. Organic matter present in water serves as substrate for the microorganism present there. Often many of such compounds are broken to less complex organic substances and ultimately to simple compounds. And it releases carbon dioxide first. You remember this now. Carbon dioxide is releasing first and water. The wastewater receiving rivers and streams have some background dissolved oxygen, and aerobic microorganisms present consumes the dissolved oxygen for decomposing the organic matter into simple compounds. However, DO keeps on getting replenished by natural atmospheric transfer and from photosynthetic activity. Actually, what happens? Complete stabilization organic matter. Answer from Uday. I don't understand what you want to say. Okay, so what happens? Suppose this is a river. Usually what happens? Suppose this is a river, and here in this river, each river is having its own dissolved oxygen level. Okay, and because suppose you are dropping your wastewater at this point, and because of that it must start reducing the dissolved oxygen like this way. But the replenishment of the dissolved oxygen is also being performed naturally because of addition of oxygen from the atmosphere, as well as some algae are present over here in this water. Okay, and because of that dissolved oxygen level keeps on increasing along with decreasing also. Okay, so this way the level of dissolved oxygen will immediately get matched after some time. Okay, the amount of oxygen required by aerobic microorganism to decompose the organic matter in a water sample referred as biochemical oxygen demand, or it is a BOD. Okay, now if you want to note down this first line, first para, you can note down please, because this is a what I want to mention over here. At the first stage, there will be release of carbon dioxide, conversion of complex organic compounds into simple organic compounds by the microorganism in presence of oxygen, and releasing carbon dioxide in the first stage. This is the outline, bottom line of this BOD. Okay, note down. Conversion of complex organic compounds into simple organic compounds by the microorganism in presence of oxygen, and releasing carbon dioxide and water in that reaction. Okay. Now further, BOD is the time dependent parameter. As oxygen consumed by bacteria would increase with the progress of time. as just now I have mentioned, but with one diagram. Oxygen starts decreasing during the decomposition of organic matter, and it is a time dependent, and hence as time passes it will keep on increasing too. Initially it will go on decreasing, and as time passes, as it is time dependent, it will keep on increasing because it is getting replenished due to the self purification activity of that particular water body. Okay, so that's why it is called as the time dependent parameter. And oxygen consumed by bacteria would increase with the progress of time. When BOD levels are high, dissolved oxygen levels decreases because the oxygen that is available in water is being consumed by the bacteria. BOD level is high means the amount of organic matter present into the water are very high, and that indicates the rate of reaction of that consumption is more, and rate of reaction of consumption is more, and and hence the more amount of oxygen will be consumed, and that's why when BOD is high, at that time DO level will be less, and as time passes again DO level will increase. Ultimately BOD level will goes on decreasing. Okay, if the quantity of organic matter present, organic waste present in the sufficiently large, the rate of bacterial uptake of oxygen will outstrip that at which the DO is replenished, and ultimately the receiving water will become anoxic or anaerobic. What this sentence is showing? Organic waste present is sufficiently large, the rate of bacterial uptake of oxygen will outstrip that at which the DO is replenished, and ultimately the receiving water will become anoxic. एक situation अशी येते. So when what kind of situation will occur? You can say here. Let me take the anox. Pencil I will take. So when the BOD is very high at this stage, BOD is very high, and the decomposition rate will start increasing, and because of that rate, increasing rate, dissolved oxygen consumption rate will be very high, and at this stage, it will be completely anaerobic condition may occur at this stage. No oxygen, anoxic condition, anaerobic condition will observe, but still the self purification will help to come out that stage and will increase the dissolved oxygen level. Is it? So this is the simply you can from this slide you can remember BOD is a time dependent parameter, and decreasing dissolved oxygen level at high BOD level, but because of the replenished activity of that particular water body, the level of dissolved oxygen keep on increasing and will matching up to the saturation level as time passes, and hence it is a time dependent parameter. Now there are two stages in a decomposition process of BOD, organic matter. Organic matter decomposition process. During the decomposition of organic matter performs in a two stages. What are these two stages? First stage is known as the carbonaceous. When carbon compounds are decomposed and releasing the carbon dioxide into this water is known as the carbonaceous. And after decomposition of carbonaceous, it is easy to decompose the carbonaceous matter than the nitrogenous matter, and hence the organic microorganisms decomposes first carbonaceous matter, then they will decompose the nitrogenous matter. BOD, which is BOD noted during the decomposition of carbonaceous matter is known as the carbonaceous BOD, and BOD releases during the nitrogenous decomposition of organic matter is known as the nitrogenous BOD. And these two BOD is nothing but the ultimate BOD. What is the ultimate BOD? That also we are going to study here. थोडासा वेस्ट वॉटर मध्ये सगळ्यात महत्वाचा very important point in the wastewater treatment plant is the BOD. So if you are not understanding today, again I will repeat the same in tomorrow's lecture in a different way, because I know that it is a little bit different than your stream, whatever you are currently studying, but still it is important to learn. Okay, so we will learn it. The oxygen demand could also raise from nitrification requirements, where the nitrogenous waste such as ammonia is converted to nitrate by autotrophic bacteria using oxygen as an energy source. The requirement of DO for the process is called a nitrogenous BOD, NBOD. While requirement of oxygen for degrading carbonaceous organic matter is referred as carbonaceous biochemical oxygen demand. You can see here. L0 is mentioned as a carbonaceous BOD. Okay. And this part is the nitrogenous BOD, and together is the ultimate BOD. Generally, the nitrifiers show a slower growth rates and do not flourish until the food supply for the heterotrophic microbes has diminished. Therefore, NBOD does not become discernible until approximately 7 days of incubation have occurred. थोड़े high complex organic compounds असतात. So it takes a lot of time for the degradation of these kinds of nitrogenous material than the carbonaceous material. So it is easy to decompose carbonaceous material. So that's why first of all we can find out the BOD which is consumed, dissolved oxygen which is consumed for the carbonaceous decomposition, carbonaceous organic matters decomposition, and hence that BOD is noted as a carbonaceous BOD or CBOD. And later on, they will turn towards the decomposition of nitrogenous compounds. And whatever the oxygen consumed for the decomposition of nitrogenous BOD, that will be noted as a NBOD or nitrogenous BOD. We also have a practice to finish first easy. So that way same activity are being performed here in a wastewater. Microorganisms tries to decompose first carbonaceous material and then nitrogenous material. Okay, and summation of these two is nothing but the ultimate BOD. So this middle sentence I request everybody to note down in your notebook. Please note down. Okay, can we move to the next? You remember this thing, you can measure BOD on any day, not necessarily only on 3 day or only on the 5 day. You can measure at any day. Okay, choice is yours. As per your requirements, you can change it. And accordingly, you need to adjust the temperature. BOD is a time dependent parameter as oxygen consumed. Summary. This is a summary. As oxygen consumed by bacteria. Yes, someone questioned something. Please share the PPT on group. Sure. Not on group I'm going to share, but I will be keeping it on in the teaching diary. So because of the heavy load in this week, I'm not able to upload my videos on the teaching diary. But end of the week, I will upload on the teaching diary in this week. Okay. So BOD is a time dependent parameter, and oxygen consumed by bacteria would increase with the progress of time. Okay. BOD5. What is BOD5? Quantifies the oxygen consumed in a simple sample within a 5-day period. Okay. This is a 5-day BOD. And if it is a BOD3, I would have written within a 3-day period. If it is a 7-day, BOD7, I can say 7-day period. Simple. Definition is same, only the period is changing. Ultimate BOD. What is meant by ultimate BOD or UBOD? It can be noted as, so how to write BOD5, how to write BOD3, how to write BOD, ultimate BOD, you should remember. Ultimate BOD can be written as a UBOD or BOD suffix to that U, small u. Okay, so quantifies the oxygen required for total biochemical degradation of organic matter. Total biochemical degradation of organic matter means what? Nitrogenous decomposition and carbonaceous decomposition. Okay, and for carbonaceous BOD, we can say CBOD. Nitrogenous BOD, we can say NBOD. Generally, the 5-day period is not long enough for complete oxidation, but it provides sufficient time for microbial acclimation and for substantial oxidation. And hence, as a standard, we used to perform the test on the 5th day as a BOD5. BOD test is standardized test where final DO, say after 5 days, is subtracted from the initial DO to know the oxygen consumed during the period of incubation. Okay, as I mentioned with these two bottles example, what is the BOD consumption? BOD consumption on first day minus BOD consumption on, DO on the first day minus DO on the 5th day is nothing but the BOD. And that is what mentioned in this sentence. The BOD test is a standardized test where final DO is subtracted from the initial DO to know the oxygen consumed during the period of incubation. As this is important points are there, I would like to request you to note down in your notebook entire slide. Though I'm going to share with you, you should have some running notes with your in your notebooks. So whatever the important, that only I'm asking you to note down. So request you to note down this entire slide because it is a summary of entire BOD where you can understand everything about the BOD. Please note down. Once you finish, let me know. Then we'll proceed. Uday replied completed. I will wait for one or two more responses, and then we'll continue. Yeah. Much sufficient responses received. We'll continue with the next point. Now we'll focus towards the chemical oxygen demand. Second, first a BOD we have discussed. Now it is a chemical oxygen demand. Is an indicative measure of amount of oxygen that can be consumed by reactions in a measured solution. So fundamentally difference between chemical oxygen demand and biological oxygen demand or biochemical oxygen demand is so chemical oxygen demand is an indicative measure of the amount of oxygen that can be consumed by reactions in a measured solution. So BOD needs to be performed for 3 days, 5 days, 7 days. Okay. Biologically, oxygen consumed by the microorganisms, whereas chemical same degradation process we are performing, but that is we are performing with the help of chemicals. Digestions we can perform with the help of chemicals with high temperature. Almost 103 degrees Celsius temperature can be maintained to perform the digestion of organic matter along with inorganic impurities by using chemicals, and hence we observe usually chemical oxygen demand is more than the biochemical oxygen demand. Are you getting difference? First thing, first difference, the name itself is the difference. Second difference, in biochemical oxygen demand, we are decomposing the organic material with the help of microorganisms. Is it? Whereas chemical oxygen demand can be performed with the help of chemicals. Third difference, biochemical oxygen demand performance for the biochemical oxygen demand requires 3 days, 5 days. Okay. Whereas for chemical oxygen demand test performance requires just 3 hours, 3.5 hours. Okay. In biochemical oxygen demand, we are counting only amount of oxygen consumed for the degradation of organic matter. Degradation of organic matter. Whereas in a chemical oxygen demand, we are counting the amount of oxygen consumed for the degradation of organic as well as inorganic impurities. And hence, COD is always greater than BOD of the same sample. Understood the difference? Anybody? Any question? Understood the difference? Ketan Wagmare? Ketan Wagmare? Yes or no, Ketan? Ketan Wagmare, I am asking you. Shall I mark you as absent? If you are not responding, that means you are not live, active in the class. Yes. You have raised a hand. But answer no. Yes or no? Are you not able to unmute yourself? Drop your message in chat box. Yes, ma'am. You are saying yes, ma'am. Then can you please tell me one difference? As I mentioned, 4 or 5 differences now. Can you please tell me one difference? Ketan. One difference you can tell me. Unmute yourself and tell me. Not required to keep on typing for longer period. Why? Why no?
Time,
You have not understood?
time.
Huh?
No one. Time.
Time. Very short answer, sir. Explain it. No, what time? Time required for BOD is?
BOD.
Huh?
BOD more. Time
More in the
required is BOD is more and
More
COD
in the
is
sense?
less.
More in the sense, how much time?
3 days, 7 days. As per the
Okay.
given.
And for COD?
COD is, ma'am. COD is less time required, ma'am.
Okay. Good.
In an hour.
Yeah, it's in our 3.5 hours. Okay. Understood, guys? Now it is a commonly expressed in mass of oxygen consumed over volume of solution, which in SI units is milligram per liter. BOD is also measured in milligram per liter or ppm. 1 ppm is equal to 1 milligram per liter. So wherever there is a unit used milligram per liter, there is a by default ppm. 1 ppm is equal to 1 milligram per liter. BOD is measured in ppm or milligram per liter. Also, COD is measured in a ppm as well as in milligram per liter. COD is a measure of organic material in wastewater in terms of oxygen required to oxidize the organic materials chemically, and hence some of the inorganic materials also gets oxidized. Chemical oxygen demand is measured as a standardized laboratory assay in which closed water sample is incubated with a strong chemical oxidant. What is that chemical oxidant? Potassium dichromate, K2Cr2O7, which is used in combination with boiling sulfuric acid, H2SO4. And that process is known as the digestion process. Okay, guys, how to perform this test? Chemical oxygen demand is measured as a standard laboratory assay in which closed water sample is incubated with a strong chemical oxidant, potassium dichromate, that is K2Cr2O7, which is used in combination with boiling sulfuric acid, that is H2SO4. COD along with BOD are two different ways to measure how much oxygen the water will consume when it enters the recipient. In both the COD and BOD tests, the organic material concentration is calculated from the oxidant consumption necessary for the oxidation of the organic material. Since biologically or biodegradable organic matter can be oxidized, while chemically almost all oxidable material could be oxidized in a COD. In a COD. Sorry, where I am. I was not able to read the last line, so that's why I have clicked on that, and it was. Since biologically on biodegradable organic matter can be oxidized, while chemically almost all oxidizable matter could be oxidized, COD values are always higher than the BOD value. During decomposition of organic material, sometimes some amount of inorganic impurities also oxidized in a COD, and hence the BOD is COD. Along with this, entire oxidizable material will get oxidized in the COD, whereas in a BOD there will be a chance to have the remaining some residue which is not degraded by the microorganisms, because chemicals are always strong. They can reach to the corner and will get oxidized everything, whereas it doesn't happen in a BOD, and hence COD is always greater than the BOD. Okay. I will slide show from current. Now you can just look at this and try to understand what chemical reactions are being performed in a COD process when organic matter is oxidized by dichromate, potassium dichromate in sulfuric acid. Most of the carbon is converted to carbon dioxide. Hydrogen present is converted into H2O, and the reaction is illustrated here. Potassium acid sulfate, KHP. So that kind of reactions you can observe. You just look out this. Okay. If you have taken a look about this, then we can proceed to the next. Bacteriological characteristics we have discussed a lot at the time of gate preparation. So same are here. Aquatic plants, in that water weeds, spores, mosses, algae, spirogyra, etc. The aquatic plants present into the aquatic body. Then aquatic animals, worms, metazoa, protozoa, etc. are the aquatic animals. Then aquatic molds, bacteria and viruses are the viruses, bacteria. Subclassification of bacteria also we have discussed, that is Coliarogens group, or it is also known as the coliform group, and Clostridium welchi and fecal streptococci. Fecal streptococci. These are the different bacteria usually present in the water. Okay, and these bacteria present due to the fecal matter present into the wastewater. So usually for identification of biological characteristic of water, we used to perform the MPN test or plate count test, standard plate count test. In this test, bacteria are made to grow as colonies by inoculating a known volume of sample into a solidified nutrient media, that is nutrient agar, which is poured in a petri dish. After incubating at 35 degrees Celsius for a specified period, the colonies or the bacteria are counted, and the bacterial density is expressed as the number of colonies per 100 ml of sample. So that also I have explained. So you can take a petri dish, glass petri dish, and then agar media, which is rich in nutrient. Okay, and that rich nutrient can be dissolved in a water and poured, that boiled water, agar media can be poured into this petri dish and allow to get it cool. Once it is getting cooled down, pour the sample which you want to test, and because it is a nutrient material, there will be a growth of microorganism will start. So that you can keep it into the incubator for some 24 hours, and after 24 hours you can take it outside and you can measure number of colonies developed. Okay, one bunch is the one colony we used to identify, and that colonies are nothing but the amount of E. coli present or the B. coli present. Why we are counting that number? Because the life of B. coli or the E. coli is less than the pathogenic bacteria. These are the non-pathogenic bacteria. Okay, so non-pathogenic bacteria and pathogenic bacteria. Pathogenic bacteria actually we should count, but it is quite difficult to find out the pathogenic bacteria, and hence what we do perform the non-pathogenic bacteria test. Why? Because it is an indication of presence of the pathogenic bacteria. How it indicates? The life of pathogenic bacteria is less than the non-pathogenic bacteria. If non-pathogenic bacteria are absent, that indicates definitely pathogenic bacteria are absent. So for indication purpose, we can perform the MPN test to count the non-pathogenic bacteria. Okay, that we have discussed. So that way you can go to perform the platelet count test or the most probable number test. How it can be performed, a most probable number test? You can take a sample. Here I have shown that same slide I have shown to you at the time of gate preparation. Sample we have taken into 5 ml bottle, sorry, 5 bunches of the test tubes, and each test tube should be inoculated with 10 ml of sample in a first group. In a second group, 1 ml of sample. Then third group, you can go for the 0.1 ml. Okay, and match it with the diluted, sorry, some water sample, distilled water. Okay, so because of the concentration from here the concentration of sample is more as compared to this. Here the concentration is less, and here is very less. And then after incubation period for the 24 hours at 37 degrees Celsius, you can find out. Here you are finding 100% water in test tubes are positive. 5 to 5 test tubes are positive. Then in a second group, you are observing only 2 tubes are positive. And in third group, you are observing there is no test tube is positive. So accordingly, number of positive tests you can take down and put it into the formula and find out the MPN number. Okay. So this way you can find out perform the biological test. Again, remember that whatever biological test we are performing, that is to determine the non-pathogenic bacteria, because it indicates the presence or absence of pathogenic bacteria. And why we don't go for the pathogenic bacteria? It is a time consuming as well as very critical test. So instead of that, we can go to find out the non-pathogenic bacteria. And the lifespan of the non-pathogenic bacteria is more than the pathogenic bacteria. Means it indicates presence or absence of the pathogenic bacteria. That's why we perform test with B. coli or E. coli. Okay, I hope you understood. Now this conductivity we are not going to discuss. I will. So here I declare the characteristics of the wastewater are over. If you have any question about the characteristics of wastewater, you can ask. Otherwise, we will start the next point, that is the sewers. What is meant by sewers? If you have a question, I will give you 1 minute to. And if you don't have question, immediately you can put it into the chat box. No question. We'll proceed with the next point. I know that while solving example on BOD, again I am going to repeat the same about the BOD, because that concept you should understand, otherwise difficult to understand further or entire part. So I will make you to understand once again about the BOD. Don't worry if you are not understood about the BOD. Little complex it is. No question? Okay.
No, ma'am. No question.
Okay, thank you. Then shall we start the next part? Okay, now first part we understood what is meant by the different sources of water, how to measure the quantity of wastewater, how to measure the quantity of storm water, why the importance of wastewater quantity is required, then what are the different characteristics of the wastewater. Characteristic understanding means you are understanding the nature of that particular wastewater. Means example I used to give always, that whenever we go to doctor asks us what are the symptoms. Okay, काय होतंय? That means what are the symptoms, and as per symptoms he try to judge what is the disease, or otherwise he asks us to perform the test, urine test or the blood test. That is that this test will use the characteristics of disease, and once you understand the disease characteristic, then you can confirm this is the disease to this person, and then you can provide the treatment. So same here for wastewater or water, you should understand what is the exact impurities present into that, and that you will understand after performing the various tests. Okay, and then you can confirm this is the treatment required for this wet water or wastewater. So this is the very important to understand the various characteristics of water. So the first part of this first chapter is over here. Now second part we are going to talk about how to collect that wastewater. Source we know, parameters we understood, how to estimate the quantity we understood. Now it's a time to transport that collect that from source and transport it towards the treatment work for other disposal work. Okay, so that is the included in second half of this chapter. Now the types of sewers. First of all, you know what is the sewer. Sewer is a closed conduit which is used to transmit the wastewater from one place to another place. Okay, so it is a sewer. Now once you understood the sewer, we will see what are the different types of sewers. First type is the sanitary sewer. It carries sanitary sewage, that is wastewater from municipality, including domestic and industrial wastewater. Already we have discussed sanitary sewer is nothing but the carrying the sanitary sewage or the wastewater from municipality. Then storm water, it carries storm sewage, including surface runoff and street wash. Then combined sewage, to what we can say combined sewage? If it is carrying domestic, industrial as well as storm sewage, then it is a combined sewer. Then the next one is the house sewer. It is a sewer conveying sewage from plumbing system of a building to common sewer. House sewer in the sense plumbing system. And say each individual unit in a house, maybe a separate WC, separate the washroom, bathroom, sinks, basins are there. From each unit, the wastewater is being collected and transmitted towards the sewerage system. So that the sewer line is known as the house sewer. So these are the first 4 fundamental types of sewers. Then the next one is the lateral sewer. I'm going to show you all these sewers were located in with the figure, with the help of figure. Through the figure itself, you will understand how it is connected. So first of all, you try to understand the meaning of this sewer. Okay. Now, fifth type of sewer is the lateral sewer. Now, collected individual sewage from sinks and various sinks and basins and bathrooms and WCs, that is house sewer. Now, this house sewer will transmit that water towards the lateral sewer. And from lateral sewer, such many laterals from each individual residence will send that wastewater towards the submain sewer. And from submain, such many submains will connected to the main sewer, or we can also say it is a trunk sewer. And that will be collectively transported towards the outfall sewer. The sequence I have mentioned, these are from the start to end, from collection point to disposal point, and hence from collection point to disposal point, or as the mentioned sequence, likewise the diameter is also going to be increased because the quantity is going to be increased. So outfall sewer is receives a discharge from all collecting system and conveys it to point of final disposal. When all these sewer lines are connected to each other with the help of required accessories, that entire system, that entire network is known as the sewerage system. SEWERAGE system, sewerage system. Entire network is known as the sewerage system. So I request you to note down this list of the different types of sewers, and timing I will keep on noting your attendance. You please copy this. If you have finished this slide, I will open next one. Okay, finish this. Yes. So I have noted your attendance. Those who have finished this slide, they can view. I declare lecture is over. I declared lecture is over. Those who have finished their write-up, they can leave. Still, I'm finding 30 students in the class. Either they have not finished this slide or they are not paying attention. Okay, we will stop here. Thank you. We'll meet on the next day.